Hello friends, I'm KitaDollx and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over some updated formulas for the Stardew Valley mushroom log and hopefully finally having some nearly optimized setups for maximum gold output. So an error was recently discovered in the formula for mushroom log quantity. It actually has some pretty big implications, and compared to the previous formula listed on the Stardew Valley wiki, it may completely change the way that you set up mushroom logs and tree farms. If you find this video interesting, please like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. With that being said, let's get into it. With the Stardew Valley 1.6 update, there were a ton of changes and new additions to the game, including the mushroom log and the dehydrator, which turned out to be a great addition to the farm. At the time of making this video, it's been about 2 months since the release of that update, and it looks like, for the first time, we may have just gotten the correct formula for mushroom log output quantity. After analyzing the game's code, a mistake was identified on the mushroom quantity formula that was listed on the Stardew Valley wiki. Without going too into depth on the code, it looks like the original formula didn't take into account that one of the random numbers generated in the calculation was actually limited to integer values. I want to say a big thanks to Sephiloud for finding this and not only updating the Stardew Valley wiki, but also bringing it to my attention directly as well. I think this correction to the formula is really going to impact the math for optimizing mushroom log and tree farm setups for maximizing gold per day. I am so sorry to my team of scientists, but we need to rerun the numbers. I hope that they aren't sick of mushroom logs yet. Scientists, I am once again asking for your support. And it looks like I'm off to dismantle my quarry for the 3rd time. For science! Anyways, there's a couple of things that I'd like to cover in this video to hopefully summarize some of the main points about the mushroom calculations. This will include the quantity of mushrooms produced based on the correct formula, the type of mushrooms produced, the effect of saplings or immature trees, and lastly, I've got some revised numbers for maximum gold per day based on the average numbers of nearby mature trees and what some of those designs might look like. The final numbers are all going to assume that we're using dehydrators, and as always, we'll assume that we have the artisan profession perks. Preserves jars may scale a little bit better per mushroom, but the overall trends should be the same. I'll leave it up to you, but I think that the sheer volume of mushrooms that can be generated really favor dehydrators. With that in mind, we won't be going over the quality calculations again, since it doesn't factor into our processed artisan products. Okay, first up, the corrected quantity formula looks a little bit different than the old one. The mushrooms per harvest is calculated by taking the number of nearby trees divided by 2 and rounded down, times a random integer, either 1 or 2, with a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 5. We made this graph to help illustrate what you can expect. The rate of increase per tree is a bit more gradual than before, so the new formula will favor setups with more trees than the previous. Also, because of the rounding, you may notice that we get a kind of stepped function. One implication of this is that reaching odd numbers of trees in the range of your mushroom log will not benefit your mushroom quantities over the previous even number, even though they may help in other ways. That brings us to mushroom type calculations. Nothing has changed here, so I won't go into the formula, but we did a graph for you as well. Assuming all of your trees are in the same type, either mystic, oak, or pine, again, because of the way that rounding works in this case, we get some interesting things happening. There are a few anomalous high points when exactly 2, 5, and 9 mature trees are in range of each mushroom log. The difference might not make or break a specific design, but you might want to keep this in mind as we look at the outcomes on gold calculations later. There were a couple commenters that said that they had good luck using saplings, so I wanted to try them out again and see if I missed something. We know that they have an impact on quantities produced, but in the game's code, it looks like it directly calls out growth stage 5 or fully mature trees in the mushroom type calculations. Based on that, saplings should have a negative effect on mushroom type if you're going for morel, chanterelle, or purple mushrooms. Still, I wanted to test these out to confirm if our original assessment on mushroom type and our interpretation of the game's code were correct. I set up 2 test cases in a 5x5 grid as an experiment. So in one case, I used 2 adult pine trees and 7 pine saplings, and in the other case, I used 2 adult oak trees with 7 pine saplings. If the saplings help in the type calculation, we should see about 60% chanterelles in the first setup. If they're not counted at all in any part of the calculation, we should see about 68% morels in the second setup. If they have a negative effect, expect a lot of common mushrooms from both. I let the mushroom logs go through 2 harvests, and I'm afraid that I have some bad news. Sorry guys, saplings only appear to hurt us when it comes to giving us valuable mushroom types. There may be a rare case when adding a single well-placed sapling could bump up your numbers by increasing nearby tree count to an even number, but I think you'll usually be better off just putting in another mushroom log instead. With how important mushroom type is for making money, I would recommend getting rid of any saplings and tree seeds that aren't intended to be mature trees as soon as possible. Of course, if you don't care about money and just think the saplings look good, go for it. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's start comparing some different setups to see if we can optimize a mushroom farm for my quarry. If we account for the corrected quantity formula and rounding intricacies of the type formula, we can calculate the average gold per day of each mushroom log based on the number and type of trees in range. Check out these updated graphs for single type tree farms. They aren't quite as smooth as they used to be thanks to some of the interesting quirks I mentioned earlier, but we can definitely use these data to start optimizing some designs. It looks like we're going to get the most out of each mushroom log with roughly 10 nearby trees, and going any higher than that might actually be detrimental. Swapping more mushroom logs in for trees may be worth more than the marginal loss to average harvest quantity too. There's only one way to find out, so let's try to fill out the whole range and see what we get. I'll start with some of the less ideal designs and work towards the maximum. As you can see, if we don't have enough trees, we're going to see lower quantities of mushrooms. And if we try to cram too many trees in, we just end up losing out on total mushroom logs or wasting space on walkways. No matter what my setup, it seems like the lowest I could get away with was 1/3 of all tiles in the design dedicated to walkways. I'd say it's a pretty good goal for a design, but if anybody's found a better way to do it without picking up mushroom logs each harvest, I'd love to hear about it. As we move on to some better designs, you can see that we start to break into some higher numbers for gold per tile per day. Feel free to pause or come back to these if you want to see specific design stats, but I want to move on to show you the more general trend. It looks like we can improve our revenue up until about 9 average nearby trees, where it plateaus or starts to drop off. I think it's important to note that it's also the cutoff for acquiring more complex tree and mushroom log setups. At 9 average trees nearby, you can still maintain straight walkways through your tree farm while being able to reach all of your tappers and mushroom logs. After that, you'll have to start cutting out little openings and paths to harvest everything, and it might not be the most fun trying to navigate that with a bunch of fully grown trees obscuring your vision. This is the design that I'm gonna go with, and I'd recommend it for both simplicity and efficiency. In the end, it's up to you, and if you're not trying to maximize your gold, just go with your gut. Mushroom logs will still be pretty good as long as you've got a decent number of trees around, so don't worry about it too much. So as always, I want to know what you guys think. I know that I'm going to be switching up my mushroom and tree farm plans after this. Are you going to be changing up your tree farm designs? Do you have any specific setups that you like? And is gold even your top priority? Let me know in the comments if I missed anything else about mushroom logs. Hopefully, this is the last time that we have to revise the math on these things. Scientists, once again, I'm so sorry. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, please like and subscribe or come say hello to me on Twitch. Until next time, goodbye.